All right. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello. It's awesome to be here. Ratyu, if you're ready to go, we can start the run, and then we can get introductions going during the intro. Yeah.
My name is Ratyu. そしたら始めていきます。そしたらじゃあカウントダウン OK?
Okay.
5,
Okay.
4,
4,
3,
3,
2,
2,
1,
1.
go.
Go.
All right, let's go. All right, so hello everyone. I'm Shemcat. I'm an Astral chain runner of a few years now, and I'm very excited to be able to show off this category today.
Hi, I'm Cap. I'm also an Astral chain runner, a big fan of the hack and slash genre, and I'm also really excited to show this. What we're looking at right now looks a little bit strange, so it probably requires some explanation. Shem, do you want to explain to the viewers exactly what we're looking at here?
So this is a pretty new and a pretty weird category for Astral chain. It uses a pre-made file to store some data into the PC, the in-game PC, and then from that we can load another file and use that data to skip a bunch of the game and save a lot of time. So this is the start of this pre-made file. Because Ratyu saved there, the floor was just invisible and he could just make his way over to this quest, Runs in the Family. And what he just did there is called a super climb, where you abuse chain jumping towards your Legion and then summoning the Legion in order to basically just get a lot of height very quickly. So the reason we do this, we want to go over an invisible barrier that's stopping us from getting into Hal's hideout. And the reason we want to do that is because we want to sit into the PC in order to.
We're actually going to sit. Oh yeah. And so we're actually going to sit here. So we're going to wait. So there's a time limit for this quest that we started. And what's going to happen is eventually the quest is just going to automatically fail. The problem is when it fails, it normally wants to take us to a results screen. However, we currently are not in a position to really look at the results screen, right? We basically opened this PC menu, which we weren't supposed to be able to open. You know, we got back to this PC by doing an infinite height glitch to access this area accidentally. So because of this, there's now going to be a disconnect between it wants to give us the results screen, but we're in this kind of file loading scenario, and the result is going to be very weird looking. We're going to see it here. So so we're back. But if you look, we actually still have the PC menu open on screen while we're in the overworld, right? So this is obviously a very glitched state already.
Yeah, and as you can see, the inputs that Ratyu's doing are controlling both the protagonist and controlling the menu. So that is great and all, but what we want to do from here is basically navigate the pause menu whilst at the same time using the PC menu. And from there, we can get to a specific point in the PC menu, so this file select section, and get to the bottom of that. And also, once we're paused, return to title. So what this pre-run setup does is it allows us to, now return to the title. The PC menu stuff is still on screen. And once we load the new file, that'll be able to create our acceptable file for the run.
No crash. No crash.
Also, the game can crash here, and we really don't want it to crash here. So,
as you can imagine from a trick like this, it's pretty. No,
it happens.
It's
that's okay. This is a possibility that we knew was going to happen, right? So, obviously, this makes the game very cranky. Which is, I know, a classic speedrunner thing to say. But yeah, basically doing all of this stuff makes the game very unhappy. And so it makes it unhappy in a very mean way where it actually can crash the game, which is, of course, obnoxious.
Yeah, I believe Ratyu knows what to do here, though, in order to lose as little time as possible from the crash.
Yeah.
And so he's just creating the character now. So this is at the start of all runs. It's actually a little bit of specifics in terms of what you want. The name and like hair color and hairstyle doesn't really matter, but you actually want to pick the male protagonist rather than the female one.
Doctor,
Yeah.
we've just received reports.
So now, of course, we'll see if we can there's another way, I think, of re-entering the glitch state, but I think what we're gonna do is basically start the new file and get back there.
That will do.
Is I believe the backup. We will see what we can do, but the crash is obviously complicates things a little bit there.
Never mind.
But as you see, the setup doesn't take that long to re-enter the glitch state. But basically, this setup, everything that was, if you imagine there wasn't a crash, this is basically how you would start right here, starting file 1. This is how you would start the non-glitched category as well. This is just the beginning of the game.
Yeah. Honestly, this is a little bit of a blessing because usually when we do this run, the menu stuff from the PC is still covering our screen, and you basically have to play it like half blind, so you can't see various things. So it's, yeah, honestly, a little nicer on the eyes.
A little nicer on the eyes, yeah, for sure. You know, Platinum Games, who makes the game, loves doing some nice little like cinematic openers, and so this is our little cinematic opener. There's obviously some small optimization to get here, but right now we're doing a car chase sequence. We're still going to be playing in this glitch category. We still do need to play file 1. I guess we're going to call it vanilla. Like you would play, obviously it would be a little bit different if you're in the glitch state, but you still basically want to play file 1 like you would play it in the non-glitched version. But I guess what's going to happen is that obviously there's going to be a major sequence break that will obviously make those things that we have to do elsewhere pretty bizarre. So right now we're just kind of working on getting through this bike section. And of course there's actually 2 bike sections, but we're going to be skipping the other bike sections. This is the only bike section we're getting here.
Yeah, and I guess we've talked a little bit about the gameplay. It could be worth introducing Astral Chain as a game. So it takes place in the year 2078, and we are part of the police force Neuron, whose primary objective is dealing with these guys, aberrations, who are, I believe, are humans who have been corrupted by the redshift, and are now, yeah, not very pleasant.
Yeah, exactly. And oh, sorry, you can keep going.
Yeah. So this corruption is, yeah, not a good thing. So we're just trying to prevent it. It's being spread by some guys we'll meet later called Chimeras, who are coming from the astral plane. But I guess, yeah, that can be saved for a little bit later.
Yeah, in general, Astral Chain is very interesting, like, just even broadly as a game, I think it's very interesting, because I think Astral Chain, I mean, it's kind of like a hack-and-slash action game, but I think for being a hack-and-slash action game, I mean, it's really an experimental work from Platinum Games, where there's a lot of, like, obviously hack-and-slash combat, and we're going to see a little bit of that coming up here, of course, but there's also a good amount of, like, just even, like, in a casual perspective, there's, like, a good amount of problem solving, a good amount of movement, like, a good amount of, like, puzzles, and even how you do combat is very different from, like, other hack-and-slash or action games. You know, if you want to play an action game and you don't want something that takes, say, something from the, like, Souls-like formula, not that there's anything wrong with the Souls-like formula, but, like, if you want, like, kind of a hack-and-slash action game that really has a lot of different kind of weird elements to it, I think this game is very experimental, which obviously can go either way, but I think it does offer really a unique experience. And I think speedrunning this game, both glitched and not glitched, is really, really interesting, really because of how different of a game it is, and how many different elements there are in the run.
Yeah, I think it's a really nice glitch of combat and movement. And speaking of, here's our first little bit of combat. So in File 1, we don't have too much options in terms of what we can do. We have the baton and the gun, basically. And what we want to do, so the baton comes in sets of 4, and what we want to do is we want to use the first 3 attacks, swap to the gun, and then go back to the baton, since the 4 hit has a lot of lag at the end of it. So by doing that, we can just stop the end lag and, yeah, deal with these guys pretty smoothly. Another
Yeah,
point in
one
this...
good. Oh, yeah. Go for it. You're good, you
Another
got it.
thing in this fight specifically is that these other police officers alongside us, they'll be shooting at the aberrations as well. Now, they can't kill them, but they can bring them to 1 HP. And so what Ratyu's doing is looking at where the other guys are shooting, and then putting his targeting there. Since, yeah, if they're just shooting at a 1 HP enemy, that's not very fast.
Right, yeah. That's something that's very interesting about that section too, is there's like an optimal way of handling enemies based on what the NPCs are, on what the NPCs are attacking, so that makes it interesting.
A gate? Real quick, as an update, we are at 9,649 out of 15,000 for our Quake 2 Enhanced at 64%. So let's get those donations in for more GDQ.
What's going on?
Oh yeah. Yeah, get your donations in, chat room.
But whatever they are, we can't see them.
Can't see them.
For sure.
Are you sure it's not just an aberration?
Yeah, this is another slightly auto-scrollery section. We're just waiting for text lines to finish, and that is why the male character is faster, because
Don't you hang up on me.
basically whoever we choose, our sibling will be the opposite gender, and the female Akira just speaks faster. So yeah, she's nicer to have around.
I don't know how we're gonna make it.
Yeah, it's somewhat counterintuitive. Because the female voice actor speaks faster, the male character is faster. Because the character that you are, of course, a voiceless, nameless protagonist. So you basically, whoever is the faster VA, you don't want to be.
This is so
Which is kind of funny.
It's like I'm feeling everything it feels.
For sure.
Oh, so yeah, that was just a Chimera we beat up, and these are the legions. So these are man-made weapons intended to fight the legions, intended to fight the chimeras and aberrations. And yeah, this is like the main crux of Astral Chain combat. So what we want to do, whilst we're controlling our protagonist, we're also controlling the legion, and yeah, having to handle both characters simultaneously and syncing them up and stuff like that. But this first little section doesn't have too much complex legion stuff, since these chimeras will keep on spawning down until the text boxes are finished. And so what we want to do, again, like with the police officers, we want to bring them down to 1 HP by using Akira. Just keep on dodging and Akira will keep on shooting. And then once the text boxes are over, Ratyu will finish them both off really quickly, and it will start the next section.
Yeah, for sure. A big thing here is, like in this game for combat, there's going to be a lot of trying to chain together when your legion attacks as well. You're going to see that in the next section as well. So really making sure that the position of both yourself and your legion are in the right place is a very large part of optimal combat in Astral Chain. So yeah. So he killed those right at the last moment of the dialogue, and we've already gotten into the Lias fight, which is the next fight. So you can kind of notice a general gameplay loop here where you can wrap your legion around the enemy to freeze it, and then you want to get behind it, because there's something called backside damage or blindside damage, or basically if you are behind the enemy, you can see that the numbers are yellow and the damage is higher. So the damage is slightly higher as well. The Legion will automatically attack the enemy if it's close enough, so you kind of constantly want to be repositioning the Legion behind the enemy to get that damage done.
Yeah, in this file as well. Yeah, in this file as well, the Legion vastly outdamages our character, so we want to be using as much of the Legion damage as possible, and yes, in a similar way to what we were doing with the baton gun combo, we want to slightly move the Legion once it's done finishing its little attack sequence, just so it's in its end lag for as little time as possible.
Once Lias is defeated, we kind of enter this, I guess, falling car scene, and then once that's done, this actually is wrapping up File 1. Also, do want to mention that Lias fight can get very weird, but Ratyu is just an absolute master of his craft, and that was an incredibly fast Lias fight.
Yeah, yeah, it ended, and I was like, oh damn, I still got stuff to talk about. No.
Yeah, I know. I really thought that fight would be longer, but Ratyu's just nuts. So we've now ended File 1. So now I guess the next question is if we can get back to the glitch. Yeah, there he goes. Yeah.
Go.
While we load back in, do we have time for a quick donation?
Of course. Yeah. Read them out.
Thank you. I have $18.10 from Teddy. They say a bit early or late for a Pokédex donation, but since Ratyu and I share a favorite Pokemon, I thought now is the perfect time to shout out number 181, Ampharos. Thank you for that donation. I also have Meep Sweep with 10 donating for the Ampharos on the runner's head and all the Ampharos cheering in the background. Good luck. Also, we are at 9,744 out of 15,000 for the bonus twist level, 64%. And also, we have an incentive for Mass Effect 2, No One Left Behind. We are at 6,194 out of 30,000, 20% on that. So when you donate, go ahead and select an incentive so that not only is your donation going to charity, but also towards more GTQ.
So yeah, this
Awesome, yeah. Oh,
this-
sorry.
Yeah, I think the reason he loads in like this invisible, we'll say is just like a specific way of saving with this glitch active. I'm not 100% sure on how it works, but yeah, it's a pretty flashy way to start the run, and I believe we're just going to be trying this strat out again and just hoping that the game cooperates a bit more this time.
The out of bounds file start is kind of an awesome like marathon meta as well, because you can also, without going out of bounds, just like run and start this mission, right? The runs in the family mission. But by starting out of bounds, he's able to clip through the walls and start the mission earlier so that he can basically enter the glitch state earlier so that this run in the marathon will be even faster. And so now we're back, and we are once again going to try to enter the glitch state here.
Yeah, the marathon timing and the full game like leaderboard timing are slightly different, but since it's a pretty important part of the category, yeah, we figured it was important to add the pre-run setup to the marathon time.
Right. It's a little bit different from traditional speedrun categories because we obviously are allowing you to take a partially completed file and like do a very specific game state change before starting a new file, but I mean, it's such a cool glitch and it saves such amount of time. And obviously there is the glitched and non-glitched category. So I think it makes sense to include that. You know, it makes the category really cool. It makes the game really cool. And really, you know, it's just a very different run and a very different vibe from the no glitches. So it's very cool in that respect.
Yeah, Astral Chain has some great other categories if you enjoy the run, and yeah, I would definitely recommend checking out some of the other categories. I believe Ratyu has the record in all of them, so yeah, he's definitely going to show off his skills in everything else. Yeah,
I was gonna save this for later, but like Ratyu is like incredibly goated. I mean, I've been in the Astral Chain like scene broadly since it dropped. And so, you know, I've seen like a lot of different world records, but he's actually insane. Like he's actually so good at the game. It's sort of impossible to overstate how much he has like completely revolutionized how we see this game in all respects. And what's really awesome is he's also like the nicest person on the planet. He has an Ampharos on his head. You should donate specifically to make the Ampharos on his head happy. But you know, when I've tried to learn a different trick in the past, I mean, he's come into my chat and he's offered to help me, and you know, he's always super nice and super helpful, and really wants the best for this community, however small. And he really takes everything seriously and really gives it his all. So it's really awesome that he's the one to really showcase the work here.
You too.
No crash.
Now, of course, we have
crash. No crash.
No crash.
Okay.
No crash. Yeah.
Yosh.
All right. We gotta hope.
Jin hasn't
Okay.
changed a bit, has
Prage.
he?
Well, so yeah,
Since we last saw
the thing on the screen now, it takes up a lot of the screen. Thankfully, we didn't have to see the whole of file 1 with that covering it up.
Cooking wasn't the greatest, but when
Yeah, this is part of the PC menu where you select other, like, earlier game files to go to, and this is the very last part of the penultimate chapter, and we basically just store the PC, we store the like PC storage value from the other game file, and then yeah, when we go into this file, it's the default, and we can just go head straight to the end of file 10. So from the start of file 2 to the end of file 10, it is insane, like an almost 2-hour time save right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, what you see Ratyu there, he bought some spicy cobras. So this game has drinks you can buy, which when drunk will improve your stats for a little bit. There's a wide variety of stat increases, but the only one we really care about for the speedrun is just attack up. We care about some of the others, but it's mainly attack up. And yeah, that one, I believe it increases attack by 100%?
50% for Spicy Cobra. Fishy Water is 100%.
Ah, okay.
Which is also purchased later for obvious reasons. But you can imagine if it's the speed of a fight you want, 50% increase in damage is pretty massive.
Yeah.
The thing is, we basically skipped, the next part that we skip into is also another, like, Platinum Games cinematic classic. So, Ratyu has now gone out of bounds and is now taking a camera because he likes to show off. But we have a lot of time to chill. Also, for this reason, if there are any donations or anything to shout out, now would be a good time, Nichole, if there are any.
Absolutely, there are. Anonymous donates $300. No comment, but thank you so much for that donation. We are now at 9,824 out of 15,000 for our bonus twists level for Quake 2 Enhanced. We are at 65% through that, and we are now at 6,344 out of 30,000 for No One Left Behind. Mass Effect 2, we shot up in that. 21% net on that. Thank you so much. Keep those donations in and keep selecting an incentive so that we can get more content. Anonymous also donates $200 with no comment. Anonymous, thank you very much. I have $5 from Mint back to our train debate. Chuga, 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 chuck, chuck, which are none of the words that I suggested, but great nonetheless. And another anonymous $100 donation. No comment, but anonymous, thank you so much for that donation. We are getting so close to 10,000 out of 15,000 for the bonus twist level, and we have until the last level of the next run to meet that. So go ahead and get those donations in so we can see more Quake 2 Enhanced and more GDQ.
Doctor.
All right,
This
thank you
streamer
very
is
much.
the best, by the way. He's great. Also, he also did a really Chad move and also donated a whole bunch of subs to the AGDQ stream. So if your favorite runner isn't donating subs mid-run, then I don't know what to tell you. You know, this guy's great. Literally no one does it like him. I don't know. He's not only really, like, obviously, like, the most talented Astral Chain runner on the planet, but his sense of humor is honestly immaculate. You know? It honestly makes him so fun to watch, especially in full game runs when there's a lot to meme on. But even here, you know, there's obviously a lot of really memeable moments, and he's he just loves that stuff. I mean, you can't beat this guy. Like,
Yeah,
this guy's just too good.
You gotta love using the super climb to just jump on top of the invisible ceiling and just watching the Acura Legion fusion just trying to run at you.
Seems so remote.
You know what?
Oh, so yeah, we've skipped a lot of the story. Joseph, our boss, is evil. Acura is now being cloned. We've got lots of legions now. We don't just have the same one from Phalo 1. We've now got 5 of them.
Whether they'll get back to normal.
Yeah. And we're about to fuse with our legion.
Yes. Yeah, Legion Fusion. Which... So he drank the Spicy Cobra before entering this state, so the drink is gonna come across. And actually, if you do enough damage in this section, you actually skip an entire cutscene. So we basically used a whole bunch of things to damage ourselves, and hopefully we over-damage the fusion version of Akira to completely skip a cinematic cutscene here, which is nice. We're currently playing a frisbee fight, which is fine, but we don't really like that. We kind of want him to get back on the ground. All right, yeah, there he goes. Excellent. Nice job, Ratyu.
Yeah, and just like that, that's a fight done very, very quickly. And we are now technically able to just straight up finish the game from here. We are now in file 11, but yeah, that's going to be quite tricky with what we've currently got. We are not very strong given we've hardly done anything. So we need to go back a little so we can get a bit stronger.
It would be, in theory, super fast if you could just go to this and then just go, like, fight the last boss. But unfortunately, kind of in, like, an RPG thing, there are some upgrades that you would probably naturally have by now that, by not having them, you do just inevitably run into problems, unfortunately.
Yeah, the first one of these is upgrading our weapon, the X Baton. We want to get a charge attack, and I believe we also get some more powerful drinks here whilst we're in Hal's hideout. Hal's a character who, we just kind of ignored for the sake of this run, but Megabyte Milk,
Fishy water.
And yeah, Fishy Water is like the strongest drink in the entire game, and Megabyte Milk is good because it gives you armor, so you just are able to tank a bunch of hits and not like flinch. But we're going all the way back to File 05. So there's a little thing you can do here. So this is going into the part of File 05 where you fight the Beast Legion and acquire that. But instead of actually fighting it, what Ratyu's going to do is just boost with the Arm Legion, and then use the gun to like boost himself a little bit further. And from there, he can just climb up outside of the arena, and then use the charge attack to use our super climb again, which is done by chain jumping and then dismissing our Legion to just gradually build up heights. And from there, he can just run over here, and the Beast Legion like unloads, and the game's like, oh, he's beaten the Beast Legion. We'll give you the gene codes, which is like the currency we use to upgrade our legions. And you can just keep on shifting back and forth, and you just keep on getting the gene codes, and it's a really fast way of just getting a bunch of points.
This is so funny. I absolutely love this. I also want to say, to do the infinite climb, a requirement is that there has to be an initial height difference between your legion and the player. So that's why he's doing like the different like acrobatic movement, is he's trying to get some vertical height difference between the legion and the character, because you want the chain jump to be an upward chain jump. And again, so we just beat the Beast Legion like 7 times for fun. And there's obviously some different upgrades that are really important. One upgrade is Power Charge. Power Charge is a temporary 25% attack boost that stacks. So obviously that attack boost is going to be needed. And there's a couple other ones that are really important. A big one is there is an axe technique that is also very important, where you can swing, and he's basically learning a whole bunch of different like increase attack things as well. And so there's a whole bunch of different stuff there, but it's a really good way of farming gene codes.
Yeah, normally, and also it's worth mentioning that beast skip is like really, really hard. It didn't look it because Ratyu did it so well, but yeah, that is not an easy trick by any means.
Can I cut in with some Ampharos appreciation?
Yes, please.
I have $10 from Muck donating for Ampharos appreciation with a huge shout out to this game's banger soundtrack. Thank you for your donation. Also, we are only $5,130 away from meeting our Quake 2 enhanced extra level. So go ahead and get those donations in. Select that. We are so close, 35% away. We can do this. Also, $10 from Anonymous, as instructed, donating to make the Ampharos happy. Thank you so much. Now the Ampharos is happy, and it's because of you. I appreciate it.
Look at that Ampharos on his head. It's
Look at it. It's so happy. I've never seen it happier.
You can tell that that the donations are making the Ampharos feel like it's making a difference, and it is really, truly. So now that we've gotten some upgrades, we can actually go to the ARI, which is I guess going to be like the setting for the final encounter with all of these bad legions and Yosef, our former now evil boss. So what wants to happen here, I don't know, some spoilers, but basically Yosef wants to create a clone army to basically create a super legion, and he wants to do that for, you know, some complicated things. Let's just say none of it's good, to avoid spoiling the entire game. So we basically have to fight through the entire through a legion of various chimeras and clones in order to get to our good friend Yosef. So that's what we're gonna be up against next.
Yeah, the first thing the ARI is basically his laboratory where he just gets all the research, and yeah, it's now not becoming a very good place thanks to his influence.
Who would do something like that? Akira. Whatever he's doing, it's wrong. And we've got to stop him.
So this is an example of some Legion abilities that he was able to unlock. So one of these was Speed Star. Speed Star just makes you move faster. which you can imagine in a speedrun, the ability to increase your movement speed is somewhat nice. So
yeah, it takes a bit of time to set up, so it's not universally useful, but it's pretty helpful sometimes. I believe it also increases your attack speed, which is helpful for the axe especially, which is another one of the legions we unlocked along the way. It's very slow, but very, very strong, and it will be our main source of damage. And another thing we do here, so this is the black hole glitch. By initiating specific abilities on our legions and then swapping to other ones with correct timings, we can basically trick the game into thinking, oh yeah, they're doing a different attack to what they're actually doing. It's because of like a... It's like a value set in the game, like a value of the ability.
Basically what's happening, what's happening is normally this black hole, I actually forget what it's called. It's called gravity something, but we just like calling it black hole. It's very descriptive. But basically, normally you would have to spend a lot of gene codes that we don't want to spend time grinding for to unlock that, right? Normally that would be like a very big end game, like new game plus type skill that we would use. But what's happening is we're switching to arm, where we want to use a skill, but then we're rapidly switching to sword, and then we're switching back. So there's a lot of switching that's happening rapidly back and forth, and it's basically cycling through all of the different possible skills that arm has. And so by doing that, we basically can then go through and use black hole normally when we normally wouldn't be able to do so. So that's very convenient.
Yeah, it's a very good skill for multi-enemy fights, like the fight against a bunch of Acura clones there, since it obviously sucks them in and it stops them from moving too much. And yeah, keeps them all in one place so we can just get all of our attacks in one place, and yeah, makes it all pretty nice.
In general, large, like high volume enemy fights are really hard in Astral Chain because they can move out and they can be very slow, but Axe and Arm Legion both have really big AoE moves, which make it really efficient for the black hole glitch to be huge damage output. Axe Legion is kind of a traditional Legion in that you think it's like very slow but very high damage, but what Ratyu is an expert at and has learned is there's a way of basically like canceling attacks and starting new ones, so you're doing a lot of damage stacked at once, which is why the Axe Legion is so good.
Real quick, I have $10 from Pheromos. Loving the Amphros appreciation. Keep Amphros happy. Thank you so much. And we are now only 5,075 away from our bonus twists levels. Thank you so much for getting us ever so closer to that incentive.
So this part here wanted us to use a bunch of our Legion skills, but we kind of just skipped them all by using specific sets of movement. You saw Ratyu paused for a second there just to set up a trick in order to skip like a wall coming up, and it's a way faster than doing it normally. I think there's a section where Hal says, yeah, use the Arm Legion or use the Axe Legion, and we're just speeding through on the arm. And yeah, here's the black hole glitch again. And yeah, all of these ravens, which are just Acura clones underneath, all stuck for a while, and then we swap to the Axe Legion, and yeah, get a bunch of hits in as much as we can.
Oh, I love that strategy. So, also what happened there is whenever the axe hits on that swing, it plants a bomb in the enemy. And so what happened there is he basically planted a bunch of bombs into each of the individual ravens. And then because there was two black holes, they kept together so that when the bomb in each raven exploded, it caused a chain reaction of huge AoE damage. And normally that fight, which is kind of obnoxious and large casually, made it very short work. I think an underrated thing about Astral Chain as a hack and slash action game is you look very stylish when you're able to chain together combos. You know, it's one of those things where when you first start playing it, it feels very clunky, but once you start moving, it looks just so gorgeous when you're fighting efficiently. And no one can fight more efficiently than Ratyu, honestly.
Of course,
he's the best in the business.
Yeah, you might have noticed there's like a finish off prompt when you're fighting some of these chimeras. basically what that does is that does another very flashy animation of you just like finishing them off, and it fully heals you, but obviously Ratyu doesn't need that help, and it's slow to do the animation, so ideally we just try to avoid that as much as possible. The downside of that is it leaves them on 1 HP, so we do kind of need to sometimes go out of our way a little bit just for a 1 HP attack. But after this fight against Scylla, I think this Chimera is called, we will now have reached the top of the lift, and this is where things start to get serious. There's yet another boss gauntlet coming up now. The first is against Akira, which is actually it's like time gated since we have to wait for her voice lines to run out, but I believe Ratyu will be able to finish it pretty perfectly on time by just knocking her over, chain binding her, buffing ourselves with Fishy Water and Power Charge, and then starting the Axe Onslaught, and that will deal a lot of damage very, very quickly. If you just look at that health bar, it's
Oh, Lord. This next section, so there basically is a fusion. Oh, yep, there we go. Okay, yeah. So we can once again enter the fusion state, but that gauge takes a while to build up, so we really only have one of these. So we're basically using it now because fighting all of these mini Nemesis Legions is a pain, and it's definitely the best use of our fusion state to just immediately wipe through all of these and enter the final boss section.
Yeah, you have to do this very efficiently, otherwise you'll run out of your fusion gauge and have to fight them normally, and also very efficiently so you don't run out of your Fishy Water buff. So very well done by Ratyu here, and now we are entering the very final guy. This is Noah. This is basically what Yosef transformed into, and he's pretty big, so we can't do much in this first phase. It's basically a platforming auto-scroller sort of thing, where he's just gonna destroy the platforms and we have to jump between them. But for these first few phases, what we can do is we can just jump off, and that will move us on to the next phase. It's like 3 or 4 phases, and by just jumping off the first few, it just completely skips them, and then we have to finish off the last one.
Yeah, it's very funny. We have no clue why it's coded like that. It basically is like, oh, well, you fell off. Well, don't worry. We're just going to move you on to the next section of this auto-scroller. So it makes the auto-scroller a lot faster. You know, we're jumping off, but you can see that Noah's doing different moves. So, I mean, we're clearly progressing through the sequence. However, if you fall off during the last sequence, then the cycle will just repeat. So you do have to eventually finish a platform movement section.
Yeah, which I'm sure Ratyu's going to be able to do no problems at all. This one is... it's not too hard. A little optimization is avoiding using the chain jump here and just boosting off with the arm, like little like jetpack boosts from the arm, since there's a little slowdown when you do a chain jump, but not when you do those boosts. So it's a tiny little optimization, but something to keep in mind.
The thing about Astral, the any percent is we didn't really even have time talking about it, but those arm boosts, which is, like basically that fast movement with the arm, that is the fastest movement in the game. So when we were doing movement earlier and you see that we're being the arm legion and we're just dashing, that's actually the fastest movement in the game. It just uses a lot of energy, so you have to be very clever in how you position it. But yeah, I mean, it's a very powerful tool that in any percent you really don't milk as much as you do in the other categories.
And now we've been sucked inside of Noah for Noah Core, and this first phase is fairly simple. What we want to do is just stack our buffs, Fishy Water, Power Charge, and then just go ham with the Axe Legion, and it will go down very quickly. So
I literally blinked. What happened?
So now Core is over. It's time for Noah Prime, the true final boss. So this is a very difficult fight against a very small opponent compared to a lot of what we've been doing. But Ratyu's going to make very quick work of it, starting off by waiting for him to go into one of his attacks, and then using the sword ability to just basically parry it and stun him. And then from there, he can do the classic, set up our buffs with the Axe Legion and with our Fishy Water. I believe we've got one more left. And then just go crazy with the arm while we have the time. And whilst he's still stunned, and that will take him to just over half of his damage dealt.
Right. So just again, I mentioned it before, but just to once again highlight actually what was happening here and how he was able to do such a crazy HP drain is he's able to, once a bomb is planted from the Axe Legion, he's able to restart the damage. He's able to cancel it and restart the damage sequence. So he's basically stacking a lot of powerful axe swings on top of basically a bomb explosion. And then that just keeps stacking together to create overall massive damage. And he's setting that up using the stun.
Yeah, and he's doing a similar strategy here, using the Howl to stun him instead. And just like that, that's Noah Prime done, and that's basically the run now. It'll just be a little cinematic cutscene here to show off how much we beat up Noah using all the legions. And yeah, after that, there'll be a confirmation on whether you want to, like a text confirmation, like all right or I can't, and that'll be the run.
And real quick, as a reminder for those donating, if you would like to apply an incentive, it is at the bottom of the page. You can add it to any donation and add any incentive. And we are at almost 10,000 for our Quake 2 Enhanced. So go ahead and get those donations in, add those incentives. More GDQ. I just have to keep pushing more GDQ.
Sorry, I'm late. No.
Well, yeah, so a lot happens in this game. If you actually want to know what actually happens in this game, you don't own this game, please check it out. Time.
Yeah, do buy it right now.
GG.
And yeah, GG's Ratyu.
Yes,
Thank you for GG. Thank you all for watching and so supporting us. It was a fun run. Thank you, Director Taura, for a great game. Thank you.